Hello, thank you very much. Thank you for the kind introduction. This is Nina, my name is Mike, and we're very honored to be here and talk about something today which is actually our everyday life for the last couple of years, where we create spatial experiences. We explore what the next web can offer. And what we actually want to talk about today specifically is intuition. So as much as we are fascinated, we are excited, believe me, I'm more excited than you can even imagine about everything we just heard. So forming my daily reality for the last 5 years. What we're really excited about is that besides all this fascination, there's actually some really powerful new tool in this and some really interesting facts which we'd like to share today with you. And that is literally the exponential impact that spatial experiences provide us. And very specifically, I want to share with you and talk about one number today, and that's 183,000, because what spatial experiences will introduce for us is a new tool which is 183,000 times more powerful than most of tools we're using today in communication, which is the intuition, which is your subconscious mind. Because, and Kathy tackled this already in her speech, that what spatial experiences do for us is they allow us to basically intuitively navigate and subconsciously consume massive amounts of information. So think about it, right, as Kathy mentioned. So once we discover the world, being a baby, being today, I mean, this is our human nature. We understand the world completely spatially. So this technology basically brings us back very much to our core human self, to our human nature. And with that, it opens up at the same time, once we try to be in an experience, it allows us to absorb a lot more information because, again, navigating this, organizing information is much more intuitive. So what I want to talk about now is this little red pixel here, because there was actually a fascinating study made at MIT, actually, about brain capacity, and they tried basically to put brain capacity as a neuroscience term a little bit more into understandable terms for all of us being in tech, into data, basically. So how much data is the brain able to digest per second? And the result was pretty interesting, that actually per second we can consciously absorb about 60 bit per second in our brain, while we subconsciously, and this is the equivalent of the same second, let's say this is what we can consciously digest, subconsciously we can digest all of that in the same second. So, and what does it really mean? I mean, let me give you a more practical example, right? So, consciously absorbing media today. So let's say you want to go to London, you want to read a book about London, it takes a certain amount of time. We can watch videos about London, we can listen to podcasts about London, or we could actually be in London. What your brain will do is, being in London, it will exponentially create much more memories out of every second, minute, and hour you spend there than any of these things could do for you, right? So that is what we believe. We have now a really fundamental new tool to not only for communication, brand experience, but to educate, to explain things, to show things, to test things. So for all walks of life, basically, really a much more powerful tool, given the fact that we can tap into this subconscious side there. And I want to give you a very, very practical example. We talked also about entertainment and how spatial will change the entertainment landscape quite a bit. So some of you might have watched the Blair Witch Project back then. So imagine you're watching Blair Witch Project a Sunday afternoon, sitting in your living room, you watch it on a laptop, the sun is shining, it's your own house. That's one version, one experience. Sitting in a big cinema, it's a dark, big room with lots of people you don't know, lots of noise, you have no idea where it comes from, is already a very different experience. So, but now imagine one other thing. So let me go to Apple's cinema mode. So I hope you can see this well. So imagine you watch this and you transport yourself into the middle of the forest, where you sit alone on a couch and watch it there in the middle of the forest. And I tell you, if the sound designer works a little bit of what happens behind you, doing this, you will have a physical experience watching Blair Witch Project. And even this is all about watching it. Let's not even watch it anymore. Let's just be in it, right? So, and that is a whole different level of entertainment that will come. But just to give you one idea about what we mean, what the intuitive impact is, because again, your body will have an intuitive reaction to this environment watching this. Or to put it in some other works, Rick Rubin once said his the biggest job he has is actually not to make music, it's actually to stop musicians from thinking and make them start intuitively to write music and start feeling basically this part.
Thank you. So now that we talked about the biology of things, let's talk a bit about the psychology of things. Because one of the most important aspects of immersive experiences we can cover with the theory of Daniel Kahneman, because he says feeling conquers thinking when it comes to making decisions. So Kahneman talks about two systems. System one is the system of intuition and instinct. It's the unconsciously digesting information to make decisions. And the other system, system two, is the rational thinking, so the really actively thinking about things, and the logical system. We know today that 95% of our decision making is based on intuition and instinct. So why is immersive so important? It's so important because for the first time, we now have tools to actually talk to the 95%. And we want to give you some examples of how this will look in like a real virtual environment. We created an employer branding case for the Service Plan Group. It's a virtual platform for onboarding of new employees, and it's called the Überverse. The Überverse first welcomes new employees by explaining to them the foundation of what we do, which is called Übercreativity. But it doesn't do that by explaining it simply in words. The gravity, the weight, and the sheer size of the architecture represents the importance this concept plays in the service plan world. Additionally, we show the appreciation for every new member of the team by presenting them in larger-than-life giants whenever they take to the stage and say something within the experience and within the team. We show the personal impact that every team member has in the organization by making the space, the objects react to every presence of a member that flies through the experience, by really making them interactive and unconsciously telling them that wherever they go, they will have impact. And we talk about diversity in our organization without ever saying the word, but by letting them choose, first of all, their own customized avatar, so they can be represented as they want to be represented, and also by flying them through these luscious and diverse landscapes, through jungles that really represent much more the diversity of our environment and organization than words could ever do. Our second use case is that we're asked by one of the industries with the most excitement by sports to create immersive fan experiences. And fans know that the sacred space of the team, of a sports team, is the locker room. So by inviting them into the locker room, we give them the appreciation very intuitively that they are part of the team. We show them all the engagement, all the merchandise that they can get there. We have a content hub where they can engage with all the content from the team. And we can also make possible that they could talk to their favorite players in the experience.
So the last example I want to quickly give you is specifically from the world of high-end luxury and jewelry, actually, just to show you also a little bit of the breadth of this and the application, very different concepts. So what we're going to do here is, for a luxury house, it's creating a completely new way, basically, to show a philharmonic concert. It's a whole new entertainment concept, if you want. But more importantly, we're turning this cultural moment into a very unique commerce experience. And for that, we also needed an environment to just talk about the intuitive part today. So we needed a stage that immersed people into something that talks about tradition, craft, and the grandness of this. So we decided, actually, why don't we go to Place Vendôme? So it's actually where the brand is housed and where there's the headquarters right there. But we said, well, let's not just go there straight, right? So, and create this kind of digital twin where you find yourself now in the middle of Paris. But what if we create a very abstract version of that and let literally hundreds of meters of white silk cover these entire architecture, the entire neighborhood, actually. And in some parts of the experience, this will be very descriptive, very tight. And in some part, all this silk starts floating, starts, basically creating a much more abstract environment here. So, and again, only to then create, for us, a surrounding that has a certain message already embedded once we enter really the entertainment experience, which I will not go further into detail here. But to summarize, again, we think we have this enormous opportunity to really embrace intuition and developing experiences, because we are using this absolutely new tool that is extremely powerful, people absorbing from the surrounding lots and lots of information. And there's one thing that is very important, and this is the quality of the intention. And let me talk about this, and this will be the last point for today. So it's not about let's create a lot more everyday life, right? So we can create a lot of worlds, a lot of things around us and replicate them one-on-one. But what we also have the ability as humans to really focus our attention on certain things, and we are very good at actually putting everything aside that's not really relevant to us. So the really interesting thing is, once we start understanding that things were really done intentionally, because we subconsciously will automatically pay a lot of attention to this. And I would like to repeat a little snippet from what Kathy showed us earlier, and finish it up with some words of wisdom from Obi-Wan Kenobi. You've seen it.
Let go your conscious self and act on instinct.
Act on instinct. We couldn't have said it better. So thank you very much.